The Via Stoica podcast with Brendan and Benny. Powered by viastoica.com, your home for coaching, workshops, quotes, and Stoic content that inspires. Welcome to the Via Stoica podcast. My name is Benny and I'm your host for today. Today we're going to talk about a concept that I've learned to really appreciate and to focus more on in my life. And it has really increased the way I live my life and the way my connections with other people have grown. That word has become attention. After I read a book by Eric Weiner called The Socrates Express, he talked about this philosopher called Simone Weil. And one aspect of it, well, the main focus was the word attention. And at one point, he points out that she, for her to really love people, to really love life, is to pay attention. He even says that attention is love, love is attention. And she goes on to say, as he quotes her, "Those who are unhappy have no need for anything in this world, but people capable of giving them their attention." And to continue, Eric goes on, he says, "Giving someone your time, but not your attention, is the cruelest fraud of all." One of the things that I really wanted to start with here is how we interact with each other. A lot of the times when we see communication, people interacting, it feels like this is like a table tennis version of conversation, right? I say my thing, pass the ball over the net, someone else says their thing, without really listening to each other, right? Without really honing in on what someone is trying to say, how they're trying to say it. And even Marcus Aurelius reminds himself in the meditations at one point to try to get into people's minds, right? To really feel what's going on. And it really can help us live so much better lives together if we really paid attention to each other and even pay attention to the world around us. When we are so engrossed in our devices, when we are so easily distracted by the next flashy thing that pops up in our screens or in our field of vision or in our sounds or whatever, we're distracted with whatever we're doing. We're not really committing to our actions. We're not really committing to the moment. And that's something that we've got to learn to do. So just right off the bat, next time when you speak to someone, just focus on what they're saying. Focus on how they're saying it. Focus on why they are saying it. Why they're saying it to you. What is that special relation? Ask them questions. Be curious. Those are the things that can really deepen a relationship amongst ourselves and with other people and also with the world around us. Look at what animals are doing. Look at the world, the nature, what is happening with the seasons today. And the Stoics and the ancient philosophers, they tell us that our biggest teacher is the world around us, but we're just simply not paying attention to it. So that's what I wanted to start off with, to really make sure that you're paying attention to those around you and give them your full attention. Be aware, be mindful of what they're saying and be present with them, not thinking about what you should be doing in the next half hour, some task that maybe will come, maybe won't. Don't think about what happened yesterday and you're still worrying about this. No, forget about all those things for a second and just give your mind, your thoughts, everything towards that other person or everything towards the world around you. When you're driving in your car, drive. Focus on your tasks, on what you're supposed to be doing. When you go shopping, when you go for a walk, just pay attention. Even if it's for the briefest moment. I know that we often get distracted by our thoughts, but if it happens too often and if it really takes you out of your peace of mind, take a deep breath and just focus on one step after the other. Smell, hear, listen, see all the things around you. Attention is love. Giving your time to someone is great, but if you don't add attention to it, then it's just a slap in the face. But the Stoics have other meanings for it as well. This is more the loving kind, which I really like. But when we look at Epictetus, he wrote one of the Discourses, at least Arian, his student coined it as such, attention, right? How to pay attention, what to pay attention to. And then it becomes a little bit more sterner. Why? Because the Stoics, they want us to act well, right? That's our responsibility. We need to make the moral choice and we need to be virtuous. We need to live in accordance with nature in everything that we do. And we cannot slack off, right? We have to pay attention at every moment that we live, that we spend. I'm real quick to add a little quote, the first line of this discourse. It's book 4.12. Epictetus says, When you relax your attention for a while, do not fancy you will recover it whenever you please. And he connects this with the concept of habits, right? Of having our habits. So what he's really trying to tell us in this discourse is that we should make a habit out of paying attention to our actions, to what we're doing in the present moment. Because don't think of it as something that you can just turn on and off. This is a practice. This is training. This is something that we've got to really do. And this is where that Greek term prosochē, I'm probably pronouncing it horribly wrong for any Greeks out there, so apologize. But it comes from that verb of to attend to yourself, to apply oneself and to hold towards yourself, to really pay attention, to give that pause, to just wait a second. And when we look at it into the Stoic terms, we talk about to pay attention to your impressions, not just to be swayed by them, not just to have that impulsive emotion or reaction or judgment take you away from what you're supposed to be doing. It'll happen, right? We will have that impulse, that first thing that happens to us, fueled by our beliefs of maybe this is good or bad, maybe this is a threat, maybe this is something that I see as a good thing. But we have that capability of just pausing, paying attention, really looking at what's going on. And this is what Epictetus is saying. We need to pay attention to our actions, to our moral choice, what we're supposed to be doing, right? But also to our actions, to say, hey, what am I doing here? Is it my responsibility? Am I being virtuous? Am I applying reason and logic? Is this in line with my nature and the nature of society around me? I'm doing the best thing that I can. Attention in all of this is such an important concept to remember. And we've got to stay anchored in the present. When we are worried about the past or the future, those are things that don't exist anymore, or not yet. The only thing that we have right here is the present. That's what we've got to focus our attention towards. Now, we have a lot of capabilities in the Stoics talk about reason and logic, and that's what we've been given. We've got to use that faculty of reason to really make sure that we do the best that we can. Again, we really need attention for that. Marcus Aurelius takes it even a step further as he goes on to say in his meditations, right? His personal journal, and he's really trying to remind himself of what he's supposed to be doing. He's the emperor of a vast empire, waging wars against the Germanic tribes in Northern Europe, trying to battle with the plagues, with the diseases that happen, intrigues, civil wars, all of these things. And he goes on in book 2.5, to remind himself. This is from the Gregory Hayes translation. He says, concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can, if you do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life, and stop being aimless. Stop letting your emotions override what your mind tells you. Stop being hypocritical, self-centered, irritable. You see how few things you have to do to live a satisfying and reverent life. If you can manage this, that's all even the gods can ask of you. We just got to make sure that we can focus on what we're doing right now. Doing it with justice, with love, with tenderness, and willingly, right? First by accepting fate that has happened, and now I've got my duty, now I've got my responsibility to fulfill. And how? I'm going to do that the best way I can to fulfill that role that I've taken on. So that's something that we've got to take in mind. And once we start paying more attention, once we start being more present, we can focus on the right course of action. We can make sure that our judgments are in line with what's really happening. And we're not going to be swayed by other external things that keep us from doing so. As we start to wrap this episode up, I want to leave you with some practices, right? We can try some breathing practices. And again, this is something that you can experiment with. It's not something that you have to take over and say, oh, this doesn't work. No, try things, experiment, listen to yourself. Also pay attention to yourself. We're talking about all these things around us, but pay attention to yourself. See what works, what doesn't work, and then try different things. But first we got to learn how to do that pause, right? We got to learn how to take that moment, step back, and just give ourselves some breathing room. Remember, we have a newsletter called The Pause. You can subscribe to it on our website via Stoica.com, and then you get a newsletter every month, just to kind of put some meditation, with some just to have a little bit of a pause in your inbox. But try to breathe, right? If you find something that has given you an impulse, taking you away from your reason, logic, your calm, just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I have to pay attention to right here, right now? What is happening? What is happening around me? Who am I with? Why am I here? What am I doing? What is my responsibility? What are my duties here? And if you're still struggling, and if anxiety or worries overtake you, just break it down. What is the first simple thing that I've got to do right here, right now, that requires my attention? And focus on that. Then ask yourself, is this virtuous? Am I applying wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage to this? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Where did I lose my attention? What triggered me? What took me away from the present moment? How can I create the habit that keeps me here, that keeps me present? And the last thing, one thing that I think we've forgotten a little bit, is to listen, right? In Diogenes Laertes, Zeno was supposedly said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. We should listen to what's happening around us. We should listen to the people that we speak with, that we converse with, that are there with us. Why? Because more input will give us more information. And then if we use our reasonable logic, we can process that and see what's really happening. And it's not just the words, right? It's also the behavior, the way they say things, the way things happen around us. We should listen. We should pay attention. We should be curious. And if we do all of that, we can find ourselves being able to respond and react better to what's really happening around us. Instead of filling things in from our own perspective with our own filter, we can then look at what life is really like. And the great thing about it is, when we pay that attention, when we give it our love, we can see the beauty of life around us. Instead of being fueled and driven by hate and fear, we can start looking at it from an optimistic side. We can start looking at the possibilities. We can start looking at how we connect to each other instead of how we are divided. That's really what this is about. Pay attention to what's happening, and you can see the beauty. You can see the possibilities, and you can see life for what it really is. Thank you for listening. And if you like these episodes, please feel free to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and leave comments, right? What does paying attention, what does attention mean to you? And if you're looking for some help, for some support here, you can always go to virtuous.com to sign up for a free consultation. 30 minutes, you can have a chat with one of our coaches. We'll be happy to speak to you and see how we can help you. And just to leave you with this, one of my favorite lines is by Simone Weil, as we started this episode: attention is love. Thank you for listening to the Via Stoica podcast. If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving a review. Your feedback will help us reach more like-minded people on the journey to self-improvement. If you want to get in touch with us or find more information, you can go to viastoica.com, your one-stop platform for all things Stoicism and living better. And remember, virtue is the only good.